All right, we got Isaac here again. We're going to dive into the deal he's working. So super excited to be here. We've got a buyer on board. So we're going to dive right into this and go through the process of how we're going to assign this purchase contract. Hope you guys enjoy this content. Let's dive in.
Hi, my name is Zack Boothe, and I help people just like you consistently find massively discounted properties all across the country so you can fix and flip, buy and hold, or wholesale real estate. If you need help, I have a ton of free resources, including an absolutely free wholesaling course. Click on the link in the show notes to get access to those free resources, or you can go to dfdmastery.com, click on free resources, and get access to all the free content.
All right, Isaac, welcome back, brother.
How's it going? How is it going?
Dude, it's so good. I got so much respect for you. And I don't know if you saw in the Facebook group, we have Thomas in Portland that's got another fat, juicy deal that he put under contract. Did you see that?
I did see that. I didn't read through all of it, but I did see that. I'm always scrolling on the Facebook, looking for little nuggets here and there.
Right. Yeah. So I called him last night. I was like, bro, sweet, let's do it. Dude, we were talking about escrow holdbacks and coaching him. So, dude, like having multiple students doing deals, like couldn't be better. There's always stuff, right? I mean, working like a crazy person, but I love that I get a coach in between all the other work, so it's awesome stuff. All right. Well, let's talk about it. So first call we had, you had a lead, right?
Yep.
We talked about getting it under contract. Then you got it under contract. And then you're like, crap, now what do I do? Once you got it under contract, now you got to find buyers. So last call, we talked about that, right?
Right.
And navigating through that. So I know we've talked off the recorded calls a few times. So where are we at right now? We've got multiple buyers interested. You got multiple offers in. Right. And you've got this property under contract for $1,045,000.
Correct.
Piece of land. Okay. So what do you, where are we at with offers?
So I had two seller finance offers verbally from one from a single guy and then one from a developer. Because they're thinking, okay, it takes some of the developers here in Iowa, some of them aren't as big, just like, it doesn't matter where it's at. There's some that have a huge. And I'm learning, through this process. So one guy's like, hey, I usually need to make my money turn faster. Yeah. I'm looking at this 40 acres. There's a lot of timber. It takes me at least 18 months to get going. So I'm losing money during those 18 months. So I do like the interest, and we talked about that last time, which again, I'm learning the seller finance offer because my seller is a big hunter too, and he doesn't need to do it. He doesn't need to sell it. So it's kind of a win-win for both of those, which I talked to you and gained some coaching on. So I have two seller finance offers verbally with putting 20% down, 10% down, and then leasing this out with hunters and the buyer, and the seller. Looked like he'd sell it and then lease it out for the next 6 months or a year until they can get to the building phase in 18 months. And then Friday, I got one of the guys so this is week number 3 of owning it, or the end of week 3. And I think it's up to 19 total views. Well, one of the guys, and it's like half and half, developers, half people that just want to hunt. But this guy now called me Friday and he wants to do a cash offer, and it's right at the 1.2 range, right at 1.2. He didn't blink at that. And he's a big time developer, and he wants to talk to me about, he said some things when I called you, it's like one thing at a time. He said, hey, I want to get the letter of intent in. And in his mind, which I told him, hey, I'm looking for the best final cash offer or seller finance offer.
So he doesn't quite realize that you're assigning it then. You haven't talked to him about that?
So I did talk to him about that, but he said, and that's why I've talked to you about some of this. Again, I want to tell the truths, but so I don't know everything, right? So he asked me, so what does it mean what does this mean that you have the purchase contract? And I asked you that, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I really don't know what the heck that means either. But I said, I have this contract.
Dude, I hope you guys are listening to this. You guys need to realize he's got under contract for $1,045,000. Isaac, do you have $1,045,000?
Not even $1,045,000. Nothing.
Have you seen that TikTok where like they're hanging out with their friends, and like they have this recording. It's like, your bank balance is $1 million, and like all their family like looks at them,
I think I've seen that. That is funny.
It is funny, right? But no, so you're like me, right? You didn't have a ton of cash. You could get started. So you've got this property under contract, but you're marketing the purchase contract, right? You have this purchase contract. You can't sell the property because you don't own the property, right? You can't market the property, but you're marketing the purchase contract and you're allowing these people to inspect it, right? You don't quite understand the full process, and so it's hard to kind of explain the process to other people, but that hasn't stopped you from taking massive action, right? That hasn't stopped you from going for it, and you are going, well, I don't want to jinx this, right? But everything is looking very good that you will have the biggest assignment deal of any of my students so far, right? Even bigger than mine. My biggest deal is like $84,000 and change. So it's super fun to be a part of this with you. Okay.
For sure.
So,
For sure.
so let's dive into this. So what I would do is on a bigger assignment deal where you're going to make $40,000, $50,000 or more with a buyer that you've never worked with in the past, I do what's called a double close. Essentially, we get them on board that, yes, they're interested. So I go and get private money or get money from a money lender, right? And they usually charge you 1% to 2% to close on it and immediately sell it. So you hold the money for a day or two and they just charge you, they call it a point, right? So they charge 1 to 2 points or 1 to 2%. Okay.
Okay.
The problem with that, on $1 million, 1 point is 10 grand. 2 points is 20. That sucks. Right? That's a nice chunk of change, right? Like,
Yeah,
let's keep that in your pocket if possible. And then also, if you double close, you have to pay closing costs. So you have to pay closing costs to get it into your name, and then you pay closing costs again to get it in their name. And you get insurance policies on both parts, right? So the title company then eats up another 30 to 40 grand.
Wow.
Right? Out of your pocket. So it's like, well, shit, we have $1,045,000 or $145,000 deal that's now only $100,000, which isn't too shabby, right? 100.
For sure. Can't get greedy at all.
Oh, we can get greedy, right? Let's go for it. So I was thinking about this last night. I was like, man, how do we get Isaac more money, right? So I was worrying about your deal for you. So
awesome.
So what I was thinking that we can do, so there's a risk here. There's a risk that your cash buyer goes, whoa, you're going to make $145,000 for what? Right? I'm going to go behind your back, go to the seller, try and get it for $1,100,000, $50,000 more than he was getting, and try and cut you out of the deal. That can happen. You have this purchase agreement and you can hold him to that purchase agreement. He can't go behind your back, right? So then there's litigation possibilities and blah, blah, blah. It's not what you want to do. But just how you've built a relationship with your seller and your seller understands you need to make money, right? He's okay with that. You've talked about that. He wants you to make money, right?
Right.
He's okay with making $1,045,000 and he understands that you are trying to make money, right?
Right.
So you've marketed this purchase contract, trying to find potential partners that you could partner with or someone that might just be able to buy your purchase contract from you, right?
Right.
So what I would suggest is if this guy is a good developer, he's made you a very fair offer, right? He doesn't quite understand what his assignment fee is. He's probably never purchased a purchase contract from a wholesaler before because he's a big time developer. Most wholesalers don't focus on big land deals like this, right?
Right.
So what I would do is I would call him up and be like, hey, I don't think I quite explained very well. Say I'm newer to working with developers, right? Because you are.
Right.
Right. So what I have is this piece of land. I have it under contract. So I've been looking for potential partners or someone that could just cash me out of this deal so I could move on to what I specialize in, which is not big developments. So what I do is I do marketing. I spend money to find awesome deals like this. Then I find awesome investors like yourself that want to take over my contract. So my purchase contract has a paragraph in there that I can sell my contract to some other entity or other person, and they can close on it in their name, and I can get paid for that contract. So I have this assignable contract, but I really have enjoyed getting to know you and working with you. I would like you to be my number one guy that buys my development deals.
Okay.
And then he's like, oh, cool. I'm going to get more deals out of this guy. Right.
Right.
So I'm going to make money on this if I sell you the purchase contract. Are you cool with that? Do you want to work with me in the future? Do you want more deals? And he's like, yes. Right. He's going to be eating it up.
Right.
Right. It's like, okay, so So are you good at the 1.2 million? Are you settled on that? Because we can just write up an agreement that I'll assign the purchase contract to you. We'll send everything to the title company. When you close on it, I'll get my assignment fee. You'll get deed. We'll be done, right? And then we'll move on to the next deal.
Right.
As soon as I find it. Are you good with that? And he's like, yes. Are you good if I make good money on this deal? Okay, great. So I have it under contract for $1,045,000. We'll have it into your name at 1.2 million. So we'll have a $145,000 assignment contract. Are you good with that? Right.
Right.
Right. And if he starts hemming and hawing, just be like, well, if you're not, that's okay. I've got other investors, but I really liked working with you.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And then he's like, okay. Yeah. That's good. It's like, great. Well, I'm excited to work with you. Let's do some more deals.
Awesome.
In the
Awesome.
future. Right.
That makes sense.
So that's the conversation that I would have with them. So I assume you've gone and got your assignment contract for your purchase agreement. You have all that in place, ready to go?
Yes. Yep, I do.
Okay, we'll make that call today. Do you have the purchase contract over to the title company already?
So, yep, I have it over to him. I scanned it to him, but then the lawyer was like, hey, once you get your buyer, bring it all in. So I have that and the earnest money right there on the check and everything. And I scanned that over to him as well, too. And he said, just bring it all in when you're ready.
Beautiful. Well, dude, you're there. You realize that? Like, you're there.
It's close. I know. I'm like you. I don't want to jinx it because of sales. But my only question was, he was like, okay, letter of intent. So I was like, okay. And he was like,
a letter of intent. It's basically him just saying, I have the intent to buy the property. Here's my unofficial offer. Right. And then you go, okay, yes, let's move forward. Then you write up the papers and purchase contracts and that kind of stuff. But he doesn't quite understand that this isn't you selling the property. Obviously that wasn't clear to him just because of your lack of experience explaining it. Right. But yeah, I think we should probably practice that. So I'm going to be the seller, right? We're going to role play this thing. Okay. So I'm going to be the developer and call me up. Okay. Let's do this.
All right. So I go, bring. Hello.
Hey, how's
Mr.
it going?
Developer, Zack. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Well, awesome. I am super excited about our call last Friday with you saying the letter of intent. This piece of land is awesome. I had a great time meeting you, walking you around, driving you around. I did want to follow up with you today and talk to you about moving forward with this process. I did want you to know that I'm really not experienced in wholesaling land, and we talked about wholesaling and what I'm doing with this. I want to move on from this and get back to my little niche, my expertise with doing lesser homes. But I did want you to know, again, I'm super excited to work with you, but I wanted to ask you a question. Are you fine with, I guess this is where it gets a little tricky. I wanted to talk to you about, I guess, what I'm doing on this process. I originally bought the purchase agreement.
Let's rewind.
Okay.
Let's make it about him.
Okay.
Let's make it about him, right? Because in the end, everyone wants to know what's in it for them, right?
Okay.
Like nobody cares about Zack Boothe. They care about what Zack Boothe can teach them, right? That's why they're students, right? But and then also he doesn't care what you like. He cares about what's in it for him. So he'd be like, so it was awesome to get to know you. So when I find more future off-market development deals, I want to bring them to you. I've really liked working with you. I've talked to a bunch of people. I've got multiple offers, but I want to work with you. Are you still interested in this piece of land? Oh, yes. Right? Okay. And so you tell them you want to work with them on all future deals and you want to work with them on this deal. And then you explain, okay, so the situation is I have this contract and I'm selling this purchase contract to you so you can close on the land. You're not making me an offer for the property because I don't own it. I own the purchase contract that gives me the rights to close on it or to sell that contract to someone else. I have a paragraph in there that allows me to assign it.
Okay.
So, and then, so let's do it again. Hello, how's it going, Isaac?
Hey, how's it going?
Doing good.
Awesome. Well, again, I like meeting with you as we spoke last Friday. I want to continue this thing going. I want to bring you more deals. I'm super excited about our conversation. I want to, in the future, bring you more deals. Like I said, whether it's land, other houses, me and you talked a little bit, you've worked on that and you just become a real estate agent yourself. I want to talk about the purchase contract now and our steps moving forward. Mm-hmm. I bought this contract and under the purchase agreement, and there's a little wording, which me and you've talked about, I have the right to sell this contract. And that's what I want to do to you here. Get
Mm-hmm.
this over to you, get this all laced up and going, and then we can send it to our title company so you can close on this deal. I'm excited to keep working with you, and I want to get this out the way and get it under your, I guess, under your title. Is that what I would say?
Just get this purchase contract over to you so you can close on it. Are you still ready to go? Right? Ask them that question. Are you still ready to go? Yep.
All right. Are you still ready to go with that? And then the price?
Yep. I'm ready to go. And then you go, okay, fantastic. The process is I'll get you over an agreement, right? And get them that purchase agreement to purchase your purchase contract, right?
Wow. Putting me on the spot, man. I like it. I like it though. That's good.
One thing that I would suggest is this, right? I want you to spend a few hours today practicing. So my wife makes fun of me all the time because I'll be in the shower and I'll be talking. I'll be negotiating out loud, right? And she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm negotiating. She's like, with who? I'm like, with me, right? I'm getting my words right. I'm getting comfortable with how I want to present something. Like if I have a big appointment, if I have a podcast, like I want to be able to help as many people as I can. And a lot of times the way you frame your sentences, the way you frame what you share, you get them pulled in, you get them hooked. Right? Because what we want to do with this conversation is you want this developer to understand that you have the ability to bring him more deals. And so he doesn't want to burn you.
Right.
Right? Because that's the fear is he'll go behind your back and try and burn you, which he can't legally, right? There be some major issues there. Especially if he's an agent. You can't go behind someone's back and try and talk him out of a contract because they have a fiduciary responsibility not to do stuff like that. So anyways, like that should not happen, but it doesn't mean people don't do what they're not supposed to do, right? It happens all the time. We had this happen with Natasha Nielsen with like a $250,000 contract or a $250,000 deal. But the thing is you want to talk to this person, talk about what's in it for them. You want to explain the process and get confirmation that they're still on board, that they're still excited about the opportunity to work with you on this deal and future deals. And then also that they understand the process and what they need to do with time frames and everything else, right?
Right. I'll do that. And I was writing notes. And two things right there, man. It's super humbling, this experience, like you let off. The worst part is you want to be comfortable, right? But the thing is you're not comfortable until you've done it. So I don't have the experience. So I have no problem messing up, talking to you about it. I do want to make sure, but even from the get-go when I'm walking it with the developer, not taking the pressure off me learning and asking questions is how I think I've gained some of this back and forth. And, it's not like I'm coming off or getting hard on them. So I think it's neutral now with these guys are like, okay, hopefully he's a good guy. I want to work with him. But then too, it's like, I want to be confident and know what I'm saying, so especially now when it's time to seal the deal, it's like, I don't want to be fumbling. So I will take that advice, practice it. You've been helpful with that.
And it's okay if you fumble, right? I imagine you fumbled a lot throughout this whole process, yet you still have $100,000 deal on the line, right? It's pretty awesome. So I know you called me or we talked and or I don't know if you texted me. I don't even remember at this point, right? Everyone's calling and texting, but anyways, you have another lead.
Yeah.
That came in from one of from your postcards. So you've got more deals on the pipeline. Did you have a question on that?
I did. So two comments and then a question. Great. Again, followed your step, not just sucking up, followed your step by step. Obviously, I obviously don't know what I'm talking about, but anyway, sent the postcard out. And first, before I even signed up with the class, it's been about 3 weeks now. I sent it on Deal Machine. You take the picture. I just heard you talking about Deal Machine one day and I'm trying to fumble through it, send a postcard. Next week, I sign up, get on here, send your postcard, and you talk about, hey, there's no real proven results. I've tracked it on taking the picture or not. Anyway, I'm just following the class. I get a text from my fake cell phone number saying, hey, Isaac, saw your first postcard, threw it away. I was actually mad, angry, or whatever. And then second, I saw your postcard that said, God bless, and it enticed me to call you and want to reach out. So that was the one
that
little
postcard I have my students use. I have you guys use is freaking gold.
It's money, and you don't even know like little things. Like that's the last thing I'm looking at on there, which I am. I'm all about that. But it's like my faith. I believe in that. But that's the last thing I'm worried about. Your tunnel vision about getting a deal. Well, then that led to the next thing. Then I go right into your next step, negotiation through the text. Hey, you don't want to talk on the phone, but now she's super motivated, wants to go with that. So it's scary, but it's good because I got leads coming. But now it's just, hey, you don't want to fumble it, you know, but then you want to execute. So I guess my question for you on that one is, I'm learning. I had another person call and they wanted a price. They wanted a price, but I'm learning, what would you do? Do you like to go see the process? So already have the purchaser, so you can go and give them a rough estimate on, not right out the gate. You want to find out what their motivation is, right? But do you like to go see them right away? So not only can I build that relationship in person, not just text. So then I have some validity when I already done my ARV to get in there, I guess. I don't want to do everything.
You can get a good idea. It's be like, well, I'd love to get you a number. I haven't seen it, so I need to know a little bit about the condition. What's the bedrooms, baths? Like, get an idea, right, of what the property is. And that numbers are fine, and we give a fat range over the phone. So it's like, well, I mean, in that area for houses like that, depending on condition, I obviously haven't seen it. I haven't done full research here. Just quick numbers, $50,000 to $100,000. Right? Like, we give a fat range.
Right.
Because the thing is, if you just give them a number, they go, okay, thanks, and they hang up and they call the next guy. How much?
Price shop you.
Right, exactly.
I heard you talk about that on Wednesday too on the phone call.
I never give a number until I'm like, so are you saying if I say yes to that number that you're wanting, are you saying you would sign right now? And they go, well, I need to talk to my wife. Okay, that's fine. Do you want me to step outside so you can call her?
Right.
And then you come back in. So did you talk to your wife? So are you saying that if I say yes to that number, you'd sign right now?
Right.
Well, okay, yeah, let's do it. Okay, let me grab the papers. But if you say, yes, I'll do $60,000, let me get the papers. They say, oh, well, how about you just leave the papers with me? I need to talk to my wife and blah, blah, blah. And then you go, well, why don't you talk to her? They go, no, we've got your offer. Let us think about it. Right. Now you're chasing them.
Right.
Instead of going, well, and instead of them chasing you, like, it's like, well, I'm not 100% sure either. Let me step outside and look. Why don't you call your wife and get confirmation? Then you come back inside. And they're like, well, I talked to my wife. I think we're interested at 60. It's like, oh man, it's getting serious. Are you saying if you said yes to that, right? And they're like, yes, go get the papers. You're like, okay, you sign it up. So I had a student in Florida last night, just signed a contract. We're going to make about 20 grand on it.
Wow.
And same situation. He had an appointment very similar where he like pounced on the number. They kind of went back and forth within his range, got to a number, and they said, well, yeah, we'd probably come down here. It's like, okay, well, let's get the papers. He's like, well, let me think about it. And then they ended up not selling it to him, sold it to someone else.
Wow. Is that what you were talking about on the phone call on Wednesday?
No, this is brand new. This is a call last night. This is a whole nother student. So dude, this happens every day. You know how many contracts I get when other people, like the seller has another contract from someone else, or they have like, they've not signed purchase contract. They have like the papers, or they have a DocuSign in their email. Like they have the actual offer and we get it for less than the actual offer they have.
They just call you and say, hey, can you do better?
Yeah, they call it do better. Well, let's meet and we talk about the situation. So it's like, man, do you really think they can perform at that number? Well, I don't know. Right. And then we go back and forth and you're like, well, I would love to get it lower than that. We want to make sure we can guarantee that we can still make money and close on it. And, and then we build a relationship and they're like, what are you trying to do? What if we could do an escrow holdback and let you guys move out in 30 days after closing? And like we give them all these other options and you're like, oh, wow, that sounds really attractive. It's like, well, what do you want us to do? And they're like, well, we could probably do this. It's like, so are you saying you would sign that if we agreed to that? And they're like, yeah, we would. And we signed the agreement. And they never call the other investor ever. You just, the other investor sees our assignment going out. And they're like, damn it. Right. How did they get that one?
Wow.
So
my last question then is back to the deal. How did you talk? And I know you probably got to get going, but how did you figure out, say, okay, I'm just not going to double close? You started doing the math and you're like, okay, since you have the relationship. The reason is
on a $1 million purchase, if you're going to make about 100 grand, that's a 10%, right? That's not a crazy amount of money to make on $1 million project.
Right.
Does that make sense? It's really not. I mean, it's a good chunk of change. It's a very high amount of money. It's actually more like 15% that you're making, right? Mm-hmm. Which is awesome. Right. But if you're going to make $70,000 on $100,000 or a $250,000 ARV,
that's when they get a little fishy.
Yeah, and you're getting it for $50,000 and you're assigning it for $120,000 total, right? And so your flipper's going to make like 30 grand, you make 70. That's when they get pissed, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Which is so frustrating because it's like they were excited about making 30 until they found out you were making 70. It's like that. It's like a child that goes, well, I like his toy more. It's like, well, you liked your toy. You just decided you don't like your toy because you know what I mean? It's childish. It's a terrible mindset to have. But there's a reason why wholesalers do so well is because they're the first ones into the door. They're the first ones getting access to these deals. And so as you start to be more successful in this business, making lots of money from assignments, but then you'll be like, oh, wow, I can get this property under contract and close on it with a seller finance and like $500 up front. I take over the mortgage. I make $500 a month in rent income. I increase my net worth by, 50 grand. There's no taxes on that though. And there's no taxes on the rent income. Cause like you have the opportunity to put your foot in the door in all these awesome deals and either just get paid out and you're done, or you can get paid a little bit up front and a little bit later, or you can close on it and keep rental income forever. Like that's the beauty of this business. Right. So you're just getting a small taste of it. Right. And it's a great deal you've got, but
it's addicting.
It's so fun, dude. It is the funnest thing. What's fun about it too is, one thing I want to encourage you to do is I want you to help other people as well. As you start to have this success, this feeling of excitement of this, you need to realize how special that is. How many people around us struggle paycheck to paycheck? How many people around us have never even imagined making 100 grand on a deal?
Right. No, seriously.
All the time, dude. Like we owe it, right? You owe it. I owe it. We owe it to the people around us, our community, our country, our brothers and sisters, to help them and encourage them to go for their dreams, that they don't have to live in poverty, right?
Sure.
And to help them get that mindset that it is possible, right? And to believe in themselves. So I just want to encourage you to spend some time every week to try and help at least a couple people. Right? Go to a Facebook group and give some tips. Like you can be in our Facebook group, that's fine. But like just find people that you can help. And I want my coaching, my efforts to snowball. Right? I don't want it just to die between me and my student. Right. So that's what I would encourage you to do.
100%. Last question since I have you on the phone, man. So with that deal, she told me that one that sent me the text. Started talking to her, found out what her why is. Super excited about going it. Two things. She said, hey, I got to talk to my broker to figure out, I don't want to pull a hard credit line right now. And I was like, okay, that's cool. A hard credit. I was like, that's cool on their end. But for what I need, pretty much has nothing to do with me. I'm trying to help you out and get out. That'll be for your next step when I can give you a price that you're excited about, some money to go put down on your house. That'll be step CD. So I asked my qualifying questions. Do you all have mortgage on the house? And she said, yes, I do. So once I find out that dollar amount, how do you fit that into the ARV? How do you fit that into the number you're going to give back to her? So let's say the house is worth 150.
For you, what I would suggest is I wouldn't worry so much about the price, right? I would focus on the why and what she's trying to do and what she's trying to come away with. Like, for example, how much do you own the house? Well, I owe about 150. Well, how much are you wanting to walk away with? How much do you want to put in your pocket? Well, I want to put away, I would like 10 grand. Okay. So are you saying that if I offered you $160,000 for the house, you would take it? Mm-hmm. So, and I could cover all closing costs. So are you saying that if I covered all closing costs, we pay off the mortgage and you keep $10,000, are you saying that you would take that offer right now? Are you saying you'd sign an agreement? Perfect. Right. And then it's not about the number. It's about what she wants. It's about her, right? It's about her, what her needs are. And then just like with this land deal, you're not an expert on knowing what they're worth yet, but that doesn't matter, right? You're going to make 145 grand on a deal. You had no idea what you had, right? I didn't either, right? It doesn't matter. Because if you find out that it's you're under contract for too high, it's like, listen, during inspection process, what I learned about the property is it's worth way less than what I have it under contract for. I wished it wasn't that way, but it is, right? Because for you to spend all your time and effort to do your inspection process, that's the purpose of an inspection process. A lot of people are like, well, that's not very cool to the seller. It's like, well, that's what the purchase contracts are for, to give you time to inspect the property and confirm that that's what you want, right? That you want to do this deal. It's, happens all the time where people have a purchase contract on a house they want to live in. They go in and inspect the property and it doesn't appraise for the amount that they need it to, so they can't get the financing. And then there's problems with the inspection and the furnace is bad and there's all sorts of stuff. And they're like, well, we just don't want to do the deal because after inspection, it just doesn't work. Right? We do the same thing, right? We go in and inspect the property, look at potential partners, look at potential people that want to buy the contract from us. And according to our inspections, we find out, hey, we screwed up or we didn't. Right. So I don't want you guys to overcomplicate it. Obviously, you have access to the course, the wholesaling course, right? And I talk about how to calculate ARVs and how to calculate, what your offer should be roughly. But overall, don't overanalyze it.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
And that's been the best advice. Just stick to what it is at hand.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate it. I really appreciate it, man. I feel bad because it feels like I'm taking from you. I've talked to you. I know life's good. I've been watching your videos. The houses look amazing that you and your wife are looking to build. Super excited for you, man. And once you go through a journey like this with somebody, I get excited. I get a little buzzer on YouTube. Zach's looking at this. I'm like, ooh, that house is sweet, man. That house is sweet. So
yeah, I'm excited.
Again, man. I don't want to take all your time, but I appreciate it. And you got great things going on and you have great advice. Seriously.
Well, thanks. Appreciate it, man. Congrats on the deal. We'll jump on another call and share with the followers, how this deal ends up panning out. Regardless if it tanks or not, I mean, the education, the experience, you're producing more leads. Like even if you don't make a dime on this deal, right, you didn't fail because you're moving in the right direction and you see the full potential, right? And I think a lot of the people listening to this, they'll see the potential as well. They'll see that you don't have to be polished to know everything, right? Like there's no excuse not to be successful. None. Zero.
I agree.
Okay, brother. We'll talk soon.
Zach.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.